others may awaken. I learn so that others may also learn. I transform so that others may transform. I forgave myself that I may help others to forgive. I love myself so that I may bring out love in others. I live to shine divine light. I live to be truth. I live to unify. I live to love. And I love to live. Come on outside. Hello, welcome to Seek God Deeply. Let me put my hair back. Yes, 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 I am still alive. Thank you so much for all your emails. I love you all. Thank you so much. It's been almost a year, I think, since my last video, and I've always felt strongly about just not doing videos with no real topic. And that's starting to change now, because I'm starting to see a lot of people emailing me and asking me, you know, please do some more videos. I don't care what the subject is. So I started thinking, and I had an idea to do a YouTube series. Hopefully there'll be small videos. This one might be a long video because I figured this one will set the stage for the YouTube series. And hopefully the YouTube series will be anywhere from 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I want to try to keep them under 20 minutes. And I'll be referencing like little paragraphs from books, and that would be the subject. And the title of the YouTube series is going to be Flute Eye, E-Y-E. And the reason why I say Flute Eye is I'll probably open it up playing the Native American flute. I might talk a little bit, then play the flute again. There might be no flute at all. There might be gong, there might be some other musical instrument, there might be no musical instrument at all. But the reason for the flute is the flute in the Native American is an extension of the breath of life. So the breath of life and the single eye, if thine eye be single, your whole body will be filled with light, and that breath of life and light will flow through, within, and without you. So yes, I am still alive. Thank you for all the emails. Thank you for all the new contacts that I've made. I also want to explain something that will be a little different in these videos. I will still reference some videos and I'll still use little clips, but I've noticed I've been getting a lot of copyright claims because one of my issues is I don't want my videos to be monetized, because this is not about making money for me. This is about sharing my experience with my awakening. There's no lesson within my talks with you. There's only a sharing. So whenever I say this is what you have to do, this is what has to be done, and this is the way, please understand that that is the words that came from my inner voice to me. So when you hear me say this is the way, or that has to be done this way, that's not me, Christopher, saying it to you. That's my higher self saying it to me, Christopher. And I'm just sharing that with you. If it touches you in any way and it's helpful, go with it. If it means nothing, treat it as a seed, because inside of you is the divine soil. There's nothing to ever fear. If any seed that I or anyone says to you and you plant into your divinity, if it's not a good seed, and if your divinity, if your ground, if your soil is pure, then you have nothing to fear, because pure soil will not birth a seed that is not meant to blossom. If it's a bad seed, that good soil will not give it life. If it's a bad soil in you, then you will definitely get bad seeds that grow. So make sure, turn within, and make sure your soil is divine. And then take in as many seeds as you want, and the ones that blossom, you know, are meant for you, and they're blossom in a way that you understand, and hopefully you will share your messages. Not push on to anybody, but you will share those messages. But anyway, the videos that I will be sharing with you, like this one, I'll probably share something from Rupert Spira. But there have been copyright claims on some of my videos, which means that all of a sudden they get monetized. Some of them are legit, but some of them are from people who, I don't know what country they're in or whatever, but it's a scam where they're trying to say, you know, from minute 20 to minute 23 is something that is theirs, and I go to the video and I look at it and it just doesn't jive. So I dispute them, and automatically they release the copyright claim, or they don't even respond to YouTube and the claim gets released. So I want to try to avoid having my videos monetized by people who are just trying to collect without it really being a copyright from them. I'm going to be sharing Rupert Spira on this video because I know I don't get any claims from him, and usually he has no music in the background. Sometimes it's the music in the background of a video that a copyright claimant claims is theirs, and I'm okay with that, but I'm trying to keep my videos without ads. It's the last thing you need, is to constantly be interrupted by ads, which later on in this video I'm going to talk to you about the thrivemovement.com, how all these ads, and we'll get into that later, but there's some brainwashing that has been going on for us, and it's in advertisement like crazy. So I want to keep that away from these videos. But anyway, the new YouTube series that I'm going to do, I will hopefully do either one a week, one every 2 weeks, one every 3 weeks, or one a month. So hopefully one a month is the magic number. And again, it will be just picking up a book and going in and reading something that I've highlighted, a paragraph or whatever, and then we'll talk about it and we'll get my interpretation on it and how it moved me, and maybe it will move you. So The books that I will be referencing in the series are from Walter Russell, and I'm going to cut away with the pictures of the books. Yes. So the books from Walter Russell that I will be using is The Universal One by Walter Russell, The Secret of Light by Walter Russell, The Rainbow in Your Hands by Albert Roy Davis and Walter C. Rawls Jr., The Magnetic Effect, also by Albert and Walter, Magnetism and Its Effect on the Living System, also by Albert and Walter, and then a book called The Healing Energy of Your Hands by Michael Bradford. Also a book called Energetic Anatomy, which is by Mark Rich. And for all you healers out there that use energy to heal, this is a very good one. It shows the flow of energy, and it's just a really good book. So I'll be referencing a little bit of those. And the other one is Energy Medicine by Donna Eden. Now this book has a male and female version. So I will be referencing a little bit. Yes, sweetheart. I will be referencing a little bit from that book, but remember, I'm not sure if the female version is a little bit different, but you will still be able to get the idea on that. So anyway, I am still alive, and my videos will not be as professional as I used to. If you've noticed and if you've followed me, you've seen that a lot of my videos I try to do all in one day, and I try just to speak and not really edit that much. These videos, please forgive me if you don't like too much editing and chopping up, but there will be edits like this, like this. Now insert the edits here, like this, like this, like this, like this, like this. And I hope you don't mind, but I want the content to be more important than the visual, than what you are seeing. With that said, I am going to go inside and go to my whiteboard, and we'll talk a little bit about consciousness. This video, even though it's an introduction to my YouTube series, I want to try to lay a foundation for where I am at this present moment and how important consciousness is. That's why I'm going to use some of Rupert Spira clips, because he's got a lot of insight that helps me to explain to myself what it is that I'm receiving from Spirit. So once I lay the foundation for the way that consciousness operates, and the Universal One with Walter Russell shows how all that is simply universal mind. And the substance of mind is what we experience. And the connection between us and this universal consciousness is so thin that we are the waves to the ocean. Our mind is connected like a wave is connected to the ocean. Our mind is connected to the universal mind. This is why I was watching Ancient Aliens last night, and they were talking about Tesla and a lot of the other inventors, how 2 or 3 of them started inventing the same thing. Even though they were at different parts of the world, they started getting these visions and creating these technologies at the same time. It's almost as if the universal mind was supplying the whole blanketed world, and a few tapped into it, of these different concepts. Well, I look at that as spirituality and awakening is the same way. Those who seek will find, because it's there. It's out there. And tapping into it is tuning yourself like a radio to that frequency. So we're going to go inside to the whiteboard. We're going to get this video rolling. I'm going to set the scene and the frequency for my YouTube series. So let's go inside. Hello, welcome. My name is Christopher, for those of you who don't know me, and welcome back to Seek God Deeply. This video, as I explained outside, is going to be just an introduction to my new YouTube series, but I want to touch base on a few things about polarity, consciousness, magnetism, and electricity, which both of those are a polarity. And I'm going to show some clips from Rupert Spira, the video, The Nature of Consciousness by Rupert Spira. If you want to go on YouTube and search The Nature of Consciousness, Rupert Spira, and that video will come up. I'm going to be showing a few little clips from that. And again, I'm trying to avoid either scammers trying to copyright parts of my video or actually legitimate copyrights. I just don't want ads on my videos for you guys. It's not about the money. It's not about me teaching or trying to get you to follow a certain way. It is simply my message for you to turn within, because I know you are divine. I feel my divinity. Therefore, the word my can be gone. I feel divinity. It's in you. It's in me. It's in the trees. It's in the skies, the heavens, the earth. So this video, again, is to introduce the new FLUTE Eye YouTube series. FLUTE being the breath of life. Eye being the awakening consciousness, the awakening eye that is within you. And also, I'm trying to just touch base on a few things. This way, when I get into the role of the series, I don't have to really, you'll know where I'm coming from when it comes to what I'm talking about. Again, those books if you want to go out and purchase them, if you only want to purchase a few or can only purchase a few, definitely Walter Russell, The Universal One, The Secret of Light, The Rainbow in Your Hands. Those probably will be referenced the most. And again, the series FLUTE Eye, I might not even reference a paragraph. It will just be something, whether it's from a book, whether it's from something that's happening in the world or in society, something that we can just talk about for no more than hopefully 20 minutes, so I could keep these videos nice and short, and I could do plenty of them at least once a month. Because of your emails, I really feel like I should do that for you, just so we could keep some type of flow going. I think the last time I did a video was almost a year ago. A lot has changed within me, so it's now time for me to share. But doing this YouTube series, I think, will allow you to follow my process along a little bit more than once every year. I mean, look how long my hair has been since the last video. So let's move on to a clip from Rupert Spira. Then I'll come back and we'll talk about it. Again, this is just to get you to contemplate more on what consciousness is, what is really going on with polarity and the depth. And again, I'm going to try to share with you how I see and how Walter Russell is allowing me to see the truth of polarity and the truth of when we think our consciousness, it is also a part of that polarity. Consciousness is only because of polarity, but consciousness extends out from the one universal consciousness, just as waves extend out from the ocean. We call them waves, but aren't they still the ocean? Again, we have our individual minds, but aren't these minds the one universal mind? Just as every wave crashes differently and looks differently, and we call it, wow, that's a big wave, that's a small wave, look at that ripple in that wave. Well, This is our mind, that's your mind, look at that mind, why is that mind thinking that? But those waved minds come from the one universal substance. Before I go any further, my last video was about the 7 Hermetic Principles. I'm gonna leave a link in the description of this video for anybody that wants to continue on with Hermeticism. I did, do a lot of contemplating on the Hermeticism. It does definitely play a big role in where I've come, and it led me to Walter Russell, and I think I understood Walter Russell a lot more because of my contemplation on the first Hermetic principle, which is the all. And Walter Russell's the universal, the universal one, I almost forgot the name of the book. The universal one really explained to me the all, the first Hermetic principle. So I'm going to leave a link for that for anybody who wants to continue with that type of contemplating and seeking. So here's the first clip from The Nature of Consciousness from Rupert Spira, and I will come back and we will talk about it. Why? Because I love you. Always have, always will. Before I was born, once I die. Even when this body is gone, the love for you will only increase. So let's check out the video from Rupert Spira.
It is consciousness that experiences consciousness. It is awareness that is aware of being awareness. If we ask thought about the nature of awareness, thought will tell us that every single body has its own package of awareness. But if we ask the one who knows, that is, if we ask awareness itself, what do you know about yourself? What is your experience of yourself? Awareness will reply, if it could speak, I have no knowledge of any border or distinction or form in myself. I am a single, open, empty, indivisible, intimate field. That means that the knowing or the consciousness with which each of us is knowing our experience is the same consciousness. It means that consciousness can never be divided into parts or objects or selves. It means that if each of us were to take the thought I and trace that I to its origin, to its source, and if we were to trace it far enough back to the essential nature of each of our minds, we would all arrive at the same consciousness, not a similar consciousness. There cannot be two empty spaces. The knowing with which each of us knows our experience is the same knowing. Each of our finite minds is precipitated out of the same infinite field of consciousness. Each of our finite minds is a modulation of the same infinite space-like field of consciousness. Some of our finite minds, if you think of each finite mind like a field, some of our finite minds overlap. Part of our finite minds overlap. We call that the outside world. Part of the fields of our finite minds don't overlap. We call those our thoughts and feelings. The religion of materialism uses the fact that we all experience the same world as proof that there is a world made out of matter outside consciousness. The reason we all experience the same world is not because there is a world made out of matter appearing outside consciousness. It is because each of our finite minds are precipitated within and from the same field of infinite consciousness. It is because our minds share consciousness that we feel we share the world. We do share the same world. The world we share is made of consciousness, not matter. So the really interesting question, which I believe will sooner or later replace the top two questions, what is the nature of the universe and how is consciousness derived from matter? The really interesting question is, how is the appearance of matter derived from consciousness? In other words, we will start with consciousness. Why? Because consciousness is our primary experience. That's the obvious place to start. How is it possible for consciousness or awareness, which is seamless, indivisible, it has no objective qualities, and therefore cannot be divided into parts and selves, how can it appear as a multiplicity and diversity of objects and selves? That is the really interesting question.
Consciousness had to fall asleep in order to manifest this dream of us. That's why you see Buddhism and a lot of different religions say that this is the illusion. All things are the illusion, because the illusion can only come forward inside the dream, if you will, of the great substance, the great spirit, God. Put a name on it, doesn't matter. We are the expression, or the dream, if you want, of the consciousness. So we are all consciousness. There's just trillions and trillions of dreams going on at once, but they are all in the bosom of consciousness. Before I go on to my next subject, I'm going to touch base real quickly with the Universal One, Rupert Spira. This is almost how the FLUTE EYE series is going to be. I'll just take something here, but I just want to touch on this because when you look at polarity, like say with a battery, you have the positive and negative. With magnetism, you have the north and south pole. These are two appearing opposite forces. But here, with Walter Russell, we see electricity, which in itself has a positive and negative, and we see magnetism, which in itself has a polarity, but electricity and magnetism are the two apparent forces. And those two forces are truly one force. One is just a repelling and the other is just a contracting. So here it says, it must be remembered that, and anybody who has the Universal One, this is on page 78. It's the paragraph that says, two apparently opposite forces. It must be remembered that electricity is the attractive force and that magnetism is the repellent force. So remember, electricity is the force that wants, it's that centripetal force that wants all light and all matter, if you want to call it, into a centered point, and it pulls it together. Its attracting force needs magnetism to keep it from imploding on itself. And the magnetism is a centrifugal force. It's used to dismantle. It pushes away. That's why the force of magnetism in electricity, magnetism, polarity. In the book called The Rainbow in Your Hands, the North Pole, the negative, the left hand, is the healing energy. Let's say you had cells or something that were diseased. You use this part of the magnet to disperse and dismantle, if you want, that force. And those that are into using this in actual physical applications, which is why scripture is really hiding a lot of what it's truly revealing, that force can be used to take apart matter. And then you have the electricity, which you can bring into form and manifestation certain things from what appears to be nothing. Remember, space is not empty. It's filled with potential, unseen matter. They call it dark energy. Anytime scientists use the word dark, it's because they don't understand it, or they do and they want to keep it revealed. So with the electrical force of the two only forces in the universe, the electrical force, remember, we're just calling it electrical, that force that contracts and pulls together can be used to create and manifest form. And when you use the magnetism, the north or negative force, it's used to dismantle and take apart. And you're not killing it, you're basically turning energy that is moving in an arc, you're making it straight. And when energy or photons, whatever, travel in a straight line, there's the appearance of nothing. I'm sorry, let me interrupt here for a minute, talking about editing. As we go further in our discussions in my YouTube series, FLUTE EYE, when I begin to talk about polarity, I think I need to touch base on this first because it'll help for those of you that get any books from Walter Russell. This is almost like the what came first, the chicken or the egg. So with polarity, we have, let's say, the Father, which is the positive, the opposite of Father, the Mother, the birth and power, positive, negative, masculine, feminine. This is a centripetal force, which is electricity. I gotta give this, after a year of not doing a video, it started drying up. Dry erase, opposite of centripetal is centrifugal force, which is magnetism. And that's a magnetism. And that's one of the big misunderstandings. When you think magnetism, you think, okay, magnetism is the North and South Pole. No, the North Pole is the magnetism. The South Pole is the electricity. That's why you can get electricity from a magnet. Magnetism is the North. Yeah, South. The North is the healing energy. The North is the negative, the birthing energy. This is the attractive force. Which is why it's centripetal. It wants to come together. And this is the repellent force. And the dry erase is dry. This is also proton, electron. See, This is why I gotta do videos more often. Now, in Scripture, it talks a lot about the Father. We know that the mother is the birthing force. If the father or anything that relates to the positive side, the electricity side, if anything over here is not balanced with its opposite, the opposite cannot perform its duty. The negative North Pole cannot do its duty when there's not a balance. So all this healing power on this side needs for this to be in balance. I believe we have dominion and control over this. Not that we have control over it physically. We have control over it because this is where consciousness comes. Now, why do I say that? Let's say that this is the Father. I know that the circle is usually more feminine, but last night this came to me to try to explain it this way. The Father, the all, we look at it with a circle, but a circle limits it. There are no boundaries. If I say that, yes, this is the Father, and I could put the Father in this little thing, it's a lie. There's nothing that can hold. So we just use this for a visual. Now I'm using the square as the mother. And now these are two opposites. You have 300, all geometry comes from the circle and square. You have a circle 360 degrees. And that's the sacred sonic geometry comes from that. 360 degrees for both the circle and the square, because you have 90, 90, 90, 90. And if the circle is the Father, everything is in the bosom of the Father, Scripture says. So, did the mother come first to birth the Father? No, the Father got in balance. Got in balance so that the positive, if this is a audio wave, the positive dB, positive dB gain came first so that the negative, or I could have just did what I did here, negative dB gain. Again, they call it gain. Even though it's going down, it's still a gain. So the positive came first. So the Father came first. Everything is in the bosom. And then last night I'm thinking, Adam and Eve. Inside of Adam came Eve. Everything is in the bosom of the Father. The positive needs to come first. So, and this isn't sorcery, so I believe in ancient times, this knowledge of knowing that we need to put this into harmony and balance with its opposite. This is the seen, this is the unseen. So the unseen, which is the birthing force that can, right now we use a birthing force on this side. We have an idea that's unseen to create something like this whiteboard. And then we have to physically do our alchemy and change make the metals and form it. Where I believe that in ancient times, and we have the power, and if the elite knew this, which they do, which is why they're throwing all of this fluoride into the water to dumb you down so you don't awaken to this truth, we are able to manipulate matter without going into the physical realm, taking it right from the conscious and taken from the physical, which is already here, it's just unseen, and putting this in balance, it begins to come together. So anyway, I didn't want to go too far into this. Just understanding this connection, I think, will make it a little bit easier when I start to do the FLUTE Eye one-on-one videos. So let me let you get back to the regular video. Hopefully this helped just a little bit. Everything is in the bosom of the Father. The positive, the electrical force comes first. Not that it comes first, but when it's in balance with its opposite, by us putting this in balance, then the power of the mother side, the birthing side, the regeneration side is now in your hands without having to go back over to the physical side. Because the physical side you already did, that's the first step. So return back to the video. I love you. Thank you so much. When you put two magnets together, a lot of science and a lot of people misunderstand. They think that, ooh, the North Pole is attracted to the South Pole. So opposites attract. Even in male and female, the opposites attract. The appearance of that is opposite, but every person has a masculine and feminine, a positive and negative. The masculine, especially a young masculine, will have more dominant positive energy coming out of him. Well, the female, even though she appears more feminine at a young age too, will have more of a dominant positive energy coming from her. And those two positives attract. When you take a magnet, I didn't think I was going to use the whiteboard, but I get to. When you take a magnet, let's say this is the North Pole and that's the South Pole, and you put it to another magnet, this is the North Pole and the South Pole, you would say, hey, opposites attract. But what's happening here is, because they're coming together, remember, inside of the North Pole, there's also a positive negative. Inside the South Pole is also a positive negative. The positive energy, at the moment that it is contracted and becomes at that pinpoint center, it reverses its polarity and becomes magnetism. It becomes and begins to repel itself. So what's happening here is, instead of the energy appearing like this and appearing like that, hopefully you guys could see this, as they come together, this South and North Pole are nullifying each other. The South Pole is attracted to the South energy inside of the North side. The North side is attracted to the North side of the South. And as they come together, this part, where's my eraser? This part disappears. Because what we think is attracting, it is connecting them together so that they become one. And then you have your North and South poles there. So it's not the South Pole attracting to the North Pole. It's those polarities flipping themselves to make this one, so that again these energies are at their opposite poles. So let me read more of this. Okay, so then it says, electricity attracts electricity. So the attractive force attracts only the attractive force, which is itself. Electricity attracts electricity. Electricity does not attract the repellent force. The South Pole, which is the positive, does not attract the North Pole. On the other hand, magnetism, which is the repellent force, does nothing but perform its function of repelling. So they're saying that the South Pole attracts the South Pole, but the North Pole doesn't really attract the North Pole. It continues to repel. So, on the other hand, magnetism, which is the repellent force, does nothing but perform its function of repelling. It does not attract itself. A repellent force cannot be an attractive force. And that's the key. Nor can the attractive force be a repellent force. But inside the attractive force is the potential to become. It doesn't attract, it can become. So each can but fill its own office. One attracts and thus gathers light units together into an appearance of solids of matter. That's the electrical. The other repels and thus pries light units apart into the dissolution of solids of matter, into gases and vapors. Magnetism is that force within the universal mind substance which tends to preserve the oneness of universal uniformity. So magnetism wants to dissipate and get rid of the appearance of separate forms, while electricity wants to create these separate forms. So the one all, God, whatever you want to call it, the most intelligent force and mind substance, universal mind out there, when it said let there be light, number one, it said sound, so from sound came light, from vibration came light. It simply created these appearing two forces, one to hopefully bring it back to oneness, the magnetism, and the other to solidify and create what we call our physical world. That's all that was needed. And within that creation and within that, you have polarity. You have life and death. You have up and down. You have all that is needed for the one universal substance to express itself, to manifest itself. So let me see, then it says, okay, so magnetism is that force within the universal mind substance which tends to preserve the oneness of universal uniformity. Magnetism desires a formless and dimensionless universe, just as electricity desires a universe of form and dimension. What I'm trying to share with you in these series that are coming up are the knowledge, the knowing. And from that knowing, you open yourself up to application, to being able to see how spiritually this can be incorporated into your life and allow you to not only use it for your own higher awakening and good, but also to be able to share it. Because what you discover about this that I'm trying to share, you're discovering about everyone and everything, which brings me right to an effect called the Baxter effect. A guy named Clive Baxter did some experiments with nature and showed and proved that nature itself also has its piece of consciousness. A lot of times we might think that we're the only ones that are conscious beings. But from every animal to a blade of grass itself has a piece of consciousness. So if you want to, there's a video from a YouTube channel called Spirit Science. They do a lot of cartoons. The guy's got a really funny voice. I think he does the voice purposely like that. But if you type in YouTube, Spirit Science 34_1, the Baxter effect, you'll find the video. And what he did was he did an experiment. He used to work for the CIA or FBI, this guy Clive Baxter, and he wanted to see, because what that unit does is it gets impulses from you. So he wanted to see if he could attach this to plant life, to see if he could get some type of reaction. So he connected it to some plants, and he did a whole bunch of different experiments, and nothing, the needle never moved. There was no reaction to it. So he tried to water it, there was no reaction. Tried to do different things, touch it, and there was no reaction. So as he was sitting there thinking, remember this is a conscious action, as he was thinking, the thought came across his head, what if I burnt the leaf? And at that moment, the needles went crazy. And he went, wait a minute, what just happened here? So again, he did it, and he started to figure out and realize that consciously, on a conscious level, nature itself, this plant that he had rigged up and hooked up, was responding to his thought. He actually put the plant inside of a chamber to make sure that there was no electrical magnetic pulse or anything interfering, that it was strictly from the plant itself. And again, that thought of harming the plant, boom. So check out the Baxter effect from Spirit Science. It's really good. I want to show you now a clip from Mooji, and it's from a video. Again, if you search on YouTube, type in "I am that Mooji" and his video should come up. So let me show you a clip from him, and I will return. Why? Because I love you. Love is the experience. So take a look at this.
You see, you're looking out there for an answer, and I'm looking at you as the answer. You're looking out there for an answer. Yes, you're saying, but the seeing sometimes is blurred, and I'm knowing that whatever you're wanting to see that gets blurred is not it. You who is witnessing blurred and focus, you're it. This is the thing. And this is the twist of consciousness that each one needs to experience. We're wasting a lot of time because the classical way of knowing something is to know like one thing knowing another thing. And I'm telling you, no, no, no. This is not two things. It's not even one thing. Are you confused by this? We are never going to be experientially one while you retain the idea of yourself as a person. Because every person is conditioned. Every person belongs to some party, some religion, some philosophical group, some political group, some kind of social group, some identity you're wearing. And every identity fights to retain its own perspective. Okay? We are never, ever, ever going to agree while you are in the state of personhood. This is what is radical. I'm going to bring you the message of Ramana Maharshi. I'm going to bring you the message of Shankara, which is not only just a message. I am their message right now. And I'm not afraid to say that. That is not pride. I don't say it as pride. But someone has to have the courage to say. Because somebody asked me, what is your master's highest teaching? I said, I am my master's highest teaching. I have to say it. It sounds arrogant, but it's not arrogance. Because I have the courage to say what I am. Okay? So I have to say this on your behalf. Because you are afraid to say it, you know. And it's not, okay, because you say it, you are it. It's not that. It has to be experienced. And I wait on you too long. You're too slow. You're so apologetic. And so I have to say sometimes, I am that on behalf of you, to give you courage to say that there's an appropriate time to admit, and it is not blasphemy, it is not arrogance to say. Thank you. You understand? We are not going to reach this as one human family while we keep on believing and you're loyal to your group, because it will teach you you're a Muslim, you're a Christian, you're a Hindu. We can never meet. Even those who are the most what you may call liberal in any group, they still cannot meet. I've met groups sometimes who are the most liberal within the group, and there's some watered down version of the group. It has to be a living truth. And the only way you are going to come to this living truth, you have to be like the cow that jumped over the moon. And this moon is your mind. You have to jump over it. And as long as you stay as this person, you're going to argue like the person. You're going to defend like the person. And I'm showing you the most beautiful way. I'm not asking you to believe. Believe, trust, this is okay. But it must be proven. And I'm telling you, I'm here to prove it to you. Yes. And prove it as you. Yes. And you hold back stingily when you say you want to realize the most important thing in the world, but you offer so little of yourself. You must have the courage to stand up and to say, I'm here for this, Mooji, all the way.
I'm here. I'm here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, like that. You see? Look with the eyes of consciousness. You are already that. You don't have to go out and find any tools for that. You're already here. No? It's a blessed time. And things are such in our world at this moment that I feel we should feel compelled, even for your children's sake, but for your sake first. You must find it. I looked in the airplane, sometimes we're flying, and they're telling you, they're showing you the procedure if you have an emergency, what they say to do. They say if there's losing pressure, they bring these things, these masks down. What did they say? They say, put yours on first, and then put them on your children. You know? Put them on first, because if you miss your chance to put yours on, they are gone. Put yours on first. Save your life first. It is not selfish. If you see beings drowning in the ocean of samsara, and you feel compassion, you want to save them, and you're running out, it's come to me, and you can't swim. So you must find the truth. And it is presenting itself also for you. It's a simple pointing. Many have come and spoken these things, different things. But it is seen so brightly now that it is offered to us as a gift to human beings to look in this simple way, to look with universal eyes. Who can look with universal eyes? You don't have to get rid of your conditioning, but you can go beyond them. And I say go beyond, not beyond that way, but beyond this way. Come back into the very core, from where seeing and the functioning of perception itself is perceived. And all of you know this.
Mooji, 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 Mooji. You gotta love that guy, just the way he speaks, everything. The reason why I showed that, it was just very uplifting, but it inspires you to know we are all connected, we are all one, and that our own personal challenge is to get rid of that identity, to see through the illusions. So that was really a good video. Now I also want to talk about Gaia TV. I signed up for a year membership. The stuff on there is amazing. They have stuff for spiritual awakening, about aliens. There's stuff about consciousness, expanding consciousness. And there's a series on there, I think it's maybe 4 or 5 episodes, but there's a series on there called Natural Mystery Series on Gaia TV. Those of you that are members of Gaia TV, and if you're not, you could sign up for a month and just check it out, and you check out some other stuff. A great guy named Chad actually allowed me to use his sign on and password, and for about 2 weeks I got hooked. I definitely know that we're not alone. I definitely know that there's beings out there. So there's a lot of stuff on that. There's a lot of stuff on full disclosure, David Wilcox and all of them. But this Natural Mystery Series, they actually showed that even after death, that the physical body still emitted energy, that we are energetic beings, that our bodies physically and spiritually through consciousness emit energy. And I think it was called Kirlian photography, Kirlian photography. For anybody that wants to just look that up. Kirlian. Don't need that pen. And what they did was, with that imaging, and that's the Kirlian photography, is what they use to see the auras, to see the energy that emits from you. Well, I forget how long it was after death, maybe it was a week or something, energy was still emitting from the body. So this energy that comes from the body also enters into that conscious field. And this is my opinion on it. The energy that was in the mind of that being, which connected consciousness, universal consciousness, to the physical being, which the physical being of all of us, of everything physical, is also connected to universal consciousness. Our mind is the bridge between the two. And they were showing that even though maybe this being was no longer consciously mindful, it was still energy filled and emitting energy. So if you get a chance, check out those episodes, Natural Mystery Series. And now the last thing I want to talk about, and we're probably gonna go outside. I mean, it's late right now. If it's still enough light out, I want to bring the camera outside. I want to talk about the thrivemovement.com. There's a video. If you go to Thrive Movement, THRIVEMOVEMENT.com. Oh, wait a minute. I could just put it on the video. Here, watch. Watch that whole video to show what has possibly developed and happened to a majority of us. And hopefully just knowing, knowledge is power, hopefully just knowing and seeing what the elite, the Rockefellers, all of those people who are in power only because of money. Remember, there's no power to them at all. All it takes is one awakened being to wipe their illusion from the face of this planet. Well, let's go outside, because it's either a beautiful evening or, well, actually it looks like the light is still out there. So without further ado, here comes another little edit. Let's go outside. So thrivemovement.com. I definitely suggest you check out the movie. It's starting to rain. Towards the end of the movie, the guy who is running the Thrive Movement was talking about his vision of the world with this Thrive Movement, how he sees us unifying, and it still involved money. He suggested getting rid of the Federal Reserve, which would help spread the wealth and money around. My vision is a little different, where instead of the monetary system using money, everybody contributes to the necessities. There's going to be luxury items and necessity. Necessity are eating, transportation, house, healthcare, etc., etc. And my vision is that you go to a job. Let's say you're good at farming. You go to a farm and you work on that farm to contribute and bring food to the masses. And while you're working there, the hours, you begin to accumulate those hours. And with those hours, you're able to purchase luxury items. Every single person on the planet, my vision shows, is they're all equal. In other words, every day you are allowed 3 meals that you don't have to give up your hours for. And those 3 meals, you have a certain amount that you could get, but you could get anything that equals up to whatever the allotted amount is for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and so forth. Now let's say that you want a telescope. That's not a necessity. A telescope is a luxury item. You can either purchase that with some of the hours that you've accumulated from working, or you can go to the telescope factory, if that's a possibility, and work on the telescope itself and build it yourself, and maybe you only have to give up half of the hours, etc., etc. I truly believe that as we awaken and as we become more evolved spiritually and consciously, Number one, the answers to all these questions, these what if this and how are we going to do that, and all of those will be available in those higher conscious states. You know, as we open up these keys to get into the higher states, those answers will come about. Those answers are already there, waiting for us to get into that level where they are. There is a way, and the answer to that way is in a higher consciousness. As we awaken, those answers will happen. Now, as far as the Rothschilds and Morgan and all of those that you'll see on the Thrive video, if any Armageddon is going to happen, it's going to be caused by them, because as we awaken, and it'll take only one person to fully awaken to make them start to crumble. And as they begin to crumble, their panic and fear will definitely set in, and they will know that their end is near. And of course, then they'll start to throw kinks and chaos into everything. But as we, the people, evolve, and remember, government is run by people. Police officers and civil service are run by people. These people are you and I. As we awaken, these elites, they can't force a military on us, because the military is me and you, the people. So as the people evolve and awaken and create and begin to put into action this new one planet society where all people, all humans, all beings are equal, then those elite and the power that they perceived they had, that they thought that they had, melts away. The easiest way to get rid of the elite is to make no power in money at all. If there was no power in money, not a single Rockefeller would have any power at all. At all. So definitely check out that Thrive movement. Check out thrivemovement.com. Check out the movie, YouTube series. And please send me a bunch of emails with different topic suggestions, and I will definitely put that into action. I love you. I love the rain. Thank you so much. Gagayuhi. And I told him that a lot of the topics were going to be probably, you know, paragraphs from different books. And he also made a suggestion, which is just now hitting me. He said, how about accepting topic suggestions or questions from emailers? And it just hit me right now. That is a beautiful and great idea, and I think I'm gonna incorporate that as well. So if there's any topics you might think of that you would like me to talk about, again, I'm gonna try to keep those videos, that whole series, every video I'm gonna try to keep under 20 minutes, but the more response I get from you guys emailing me different topic ideas, probably the more videos I'll do. Again, I don't want to become one of those self-help ones where, you know, I'm doing a video on how to attract the love of your life or this and that. You already know how to attract the love of your life, is to turn within and love the life within you. And the moment you do that, the soul twin, the one that you're meant to be with, even if it's for a year or the rest of your life, will enter into your life. You won't be looking for them. They will find you, and you will know you have found them. And you're not looking at them, ooh, is this going to be my lifelong partner? You're not looking at them in terms of limit and time. You're looking at them for the experience and the awakening effect of the energy exchanges that'll happen. Again, those aren't the type of videos I want to do, but if you send topic suggestions, it might open me up to doing more videos. And I want to try to at least do one a month, maybe more, just so you know I could keep in contact with you. Every time I do a video, I feel like I've benefited. When I do my crystal ball events, sometimes I have little chats with people afterwards, and even though it may appear that I'm giving them some advice and inspiration, at the same time I'm receiving from them on an energetic level, and sometimes even on a vocal level. Everybody you meet, the experience you experience is definitely meant for both of you. There's a balance in nature, and we are a part of nature. There will never be an experience where only one side benefits. There is a balance. Seek that balance. And it all begins by turning within. With that said, it's starting to rain a little bit heavier. Manly P. Hall said, "It is said that wisdom lies in not seeing things, but seeing through things." So in all that you do, any problem that you have, don't look for an answer, but rather look through the problem, and the answer will reveal itself. Don't seek the truth within you, but see through the illusion that you need to seek the truth, and find that you are already the truth, and the truth is already there. Just your egoic, the Christopher, the persona that you became, needs to understand it so that it can be seen and manifested in the physical world. The divinity and beauty and truth of you is always and has always and can never, just like energy, die. Energy was never born and will never die. You were never born and will never die. And that's because you are not this physical body. You are so much more. A physical body is limited. You are so much more than the limitations and perceptions of us. So with that, and with the rain, and the trees are loving it, I love you so much. Elohim is in you, is you. Gageyuhi, the Cherokee word for I love you. Compassion, kindness flows through you. Share all of your insights, anything that you receive. Don't think that you have received it for you. You have received it so that you might share. And when you share, you are sharing to the spirits of others. So you are sharing to the spirit of yourself. Therefore, opening yourself up for more insight. The moment you get insight and you start to keep it and say, it's mine, 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 that insight will become distorted, and it will stop, and the flow will stop. Share unconditionally to all people, not just to the ones that are in your religions, the ones that believe the same way you believe. Get rid of those concepts of, if they don't believe what I believe, they're wrong and I'm right, or I might be wrong and they might be right. There is no illusion worse than seeing separation as being a reality. We are one, and I love you as that one. Thank you so much. Look for FLUTE EYE YouTube series, and please send me a bunch of emails with different topic suggestions, and I will definitely put that into action. I love you. I love the rain. Thank you so much. Gageyuhi.